Legion looks good. Even though it's still in the alpha, a lot of the zones and raids are already looking really impressive. I will even go so far to say that we might be looking at the most beautiful expansion we have ever had. There's just one zone that troubles me quite a bit. While everything on the mainland is looking really nice, there is one zone that doesn't. Thal'dranath is still one big piece of nothing. Blizzard has already said that Thal'dranath won't be available at launch, but it will come in a future patch. And that sounds very familiar to another island that was scrapped in a previous expansion not very long ago. Farahlon wasn't the first time an island was scrapped, and I don't think it will be the last. So in this video we're going to look back and see what islands survived and what islands were scrapped to see just how big of a chance Thal'dranath might have. Enjoy! The Dragon Isles first appeared as a multiplayer map in Warcraft 2, and here it was shaped as an actual dragon head. In the WoW documentary Looking for Group, we can see the Dragon Isles just above the coast of Tirisfal. As you can see, it was intended for level 65 to 70 players, and it was either going to be a raid or contain a raid. It is also available as a piece of art in the book The Art of World of Warcraft, which was originally distributed in the World of Warcraft Collector's Edition. Traces of the Isles can be found in the game files, since models belonging to the Dragon Isles exist on Designer's Isle. We will most likely never know what the Dragon Isles was supposed to be, but there is one thing we can be sure of, and that is that Dragon Isles is a very early proof of Blizzard's hatred towards islands. This one was scrapped. GILLIJIM'S Isle, an island of Dr. Lapidis, can be seen in the intro cinematic of Vanilla WoW. They have also appeared on a map in the World of Warcraft comics and in a few other places. These two islands are supposed to be located just off the shores of Stranglethorn Vale, and just up until before the game's release, the islands were there. A lot of work had been put into them, and they resembled Stranglethorn Vale very much. In today's standards, the islands look pretty crap, but back before Vanilla, this wasn't bad. My guess is that the islands were supposed to be leveling zones, but they ended up getting too close to Stranglethorn Vale and they were scrapped because they were, well, pointless. We will probably never know for certain, but we can put these islands on the list of islands that didn't make it to the game. GILLIJIM'S Isle and Island of Dr. Lapidis were scrapped. During Alpha WoW, two islands could be found just off the shores of TANARIS. They were very small, only had a few objects, and were probably meant for some purpose in the game which was later removed, and because of that the islands had no reason to exist. It looks like it could have been a target for a quest or even a small quest hub. We may never know. The islands were there just up until the release of the game, but then they were removed. However, they were not removed entirely. To this day, hidden deep below the ocean off the coast of Tanaris, you will still find all the structures from these islands. They are placed just like they were in Alpha, but they have been sunk to the bottom of the sea as the islands were leveled out. Still, even though some remains still exist, it doesn't change the fact that the islands outside Tanaris were scrapped. The Burning Crusade was a good expansion if you were an island. Added in patch 2.4, the Isle of QUEL'DANAS hosted one raid, one instance, and one daily quest hub. It did what a content-patched island is supposed to do. It brought a lot of content for raiders and non-raiders alike. Throne of Thunder would later do this even better, but in the Burning Crusade, Blizzard showed that it could give islands some love. Isle of QUEL'DANAS survived. HROTHGAR'S Landing is an island located off the northern coast of Icecrown. Players who have risen in the ranks of the Argent tournament can go here on quest. It is not only the second outdoor zone to ever be added in a content patch, it also holds the title of being the smallest zone in-game. But despite its size, it does show once again that Blizzard can show mercy to the poor islands. HROTHGAR'S Landing survived. BARAD is an outdoor PvP zone added in Cataclysm. However, in a recent interview, it was revealed that BARAD was actually supposed to be released in Wrath of the Lich King. So while it wasn't scrapped, BARAD was definitely pushed back quite a bit. And while it would have made no sense to release both Wintergrasp and BARAD in the same expansion, we still have to count this as delayed. Mists of Pandaria has been talked down by many, but one thing that was amazing with the expansion was the islands. Isle of Thunder was added in patch 5.2 and brought a massive amount of content, featuring a raid, a world boss, progressive quest hubs and even PvP content. The Isle of Thunder shows that Blizzard can make a good content patch if they try. It looks good, it is good, and it survived. As if the Isle of Thunder wasn't enough, patch 5.2 also brought the Isle of Giants. It is the home of primal Devilsaurs, Direhorns and Skyscreamers. And all of these drop giant dinosaur bones which players come here to collect. Now doing so gave you various rewards such as pets, mounts and achievements, and it was all good fun. Now even though this place was originally called Sandalari Isle when it was announced at BlizzCon 2011, it is still one of the islands that survived. The next island to be added into Mists of Pandaria was the Timeless Isle. Some people call it a catch-up mechanic, some people call it a horrible grind. And while that may be true, the Timeless Isle is still a massive sandbox with a lot of content. You had world bosses, reputation grinds, treasure hunting and a shitload of ganking. And that's just mentioning some of it. To me, Timeless Isle was new, it was fresh, and it was a great piece of content. And while it survived, we are now entering the dark ages of content. So, a lot of us still remembers Farahlon. This was a zone that wasn't going to be available at launch of the expansion, but it would be added in a later patch. During early alpha, the island was there on the map, but not much work had been put into it. This is a very similar situation that we have with Thal'dranath today, but we will have to hope that Thal'dranath won't share the same fate as Farahlon. Before Warlords went into beta, Farahlon was quietly removed from the map, and sadly enough, it would never return again. Eventually, Blizzard said that Farahlon was scrapped because it didn't fit the story being told, so if we want a glimpse of how Farahlon used to look, we have to settle with the preserved areas in the Netherstorm. Farahlon was scrapped, and as you might remember, it wasn't the only island we were supposed to get. There was an island south of Nagrand if you look at the alpha maps of Draenor. This was going to be a part of the homeland of the Ogres. If you go there on the alpha maps of Warlords, what you will find is a cut-out piece of the Nagrand from Outland. This doesn't really say anything about what they were going to do with this place, but it does show that something was going to be located here. Unfortunately, this was scrapped. In Warlords of Draenor we didn't get any new battlegrounds or arenas. Instead, Blizzard spoiled PvPers with an entire island to wage war on. This was a big deal at BlizzCon 2013, so we're going to look back and see what kind of things they told us to expect.
Alright, so do we have any PvPers out here? Okay, I think that was at least 4. Alright, so this is really going to be more like a Timeless Isle of PvP, in that all the objectives that are there are all PvP oriented, but you're kind of free to go in there and do whatever it is that you want to do. So for any of you PvPers that really want to just feel like you can go to a zone and hang out and have some kind of, you know, entertaining killing of the other side without a whole lot of structure, this is the place to do it. You'll get to build and commandeer siege vehicles. Some of these are vehicles that you might build over the course of multiple days, right? You might gather some materials on one day and continue your progress on the next day, and then eventually build your machine of mighty destruction and have a rampage on your enemies for a while. You'll be able to reduce the enemy base to rubble. There are a lot of different objectives in the zone, so you'll be able to, you know, kind of pick out whatever it is that you want to do. Do you want to take over the mine to, you know, contribute more supplies to your team? Or do you want to try to build a siege vehicle to take out the enemy base? whatever it is that you want to do.
So, while ASHRAN wasn't scrapped, it definitely didn't turn out as intended. It is much smaller than expected, we are not commandeering any siege vehicles, and no bases are being turned to rubble, that's for sure. And saying that all the objectives on ASHRAN would be PvP oriented is quite an overstatement in my opinion. So while we did get ASHRAN, it was a very stripped down and condensed experience, and so much content was cut from it that I kinda want to consider ASHRAN as half scrapped. Yeah, let's go for half scrapped. Alright, so Blizzard have scrapped some really cool places, and this hasn't been something exclusive to Warlords of Draenor. All the way back to the Dragon Isles, it seems like you have about 50-50 chance of making it if you're an island. My big concern with Legion is that they are going to say that, yeah, Thal'dranath didn't fit into the story we were telling, so we are not going to deliver on it. It does look like it's very close to the stage that Farahlon was in when it was scrapped, and that place had an even bigger importance with all the players who wanted to see Netherstorm before it was destroyed. We will just have to wait and see, but there seem to be a lot of similarities between Thal'dranath and Farahlon, so let's hope that it just doesn't disappear never to return again. Alright, so a quick update. I am going to leave home for Christmas, so I won't be covering Legion for a while. Instead, I have 2 How It Really Looks uploaded and ready to be published next week and the week after that. So you have Black Temple and Throne of Thunder which will arrive. And these ones will have the regular format with music and text and no narration. And I hope you will enjoy those. And also, if you liked the video, please give it a like and take care.